This is the second in a series of videos where I'm going to explain what FM was writing about in his books and therefore what he was teaching, and how that differs from how many of us now are teaching the work and presenting it to the world. I have controversial things to say, so I might as well start now. One of the problems we have with the books, there are a number of problems, but one of the problems is that a lot of us don't read them to find out what's there. We have some lessons. Our teacher says that the work is about movement without muscular strain. We try reading the books and we don't find anything about moving without muscular strain. Our teacher says that good use is about moving lightly, but we can't find anything in FM's writings about moving lightly, so we conclude that the books are god-awful. It doesn't occur to us to assume the books are accurately saying what FM was teaching and that maybe our teachers are not. If what our teachers say does not match what FM says, isn't it more logical that what FM says is what we should be paying attention to, and that we should be questioning our teachers about the mismatch? I have controversial things to say, and some people are going to feel challenged, but that's okay, because as FM said, we start to read a book, but immediately we reach a point with which we disagree. Our more or less debauched kinesthesia cannot control the impulses which, when set in motion, put us out of communication with our reasoning. But we're Alexander people. We have more or less accurate kinesthesia, so we can control our impulses and stay in communication with our reasoning and carry on reading the book or watching this video beyond the point we disagree with. And because we're Alexander people, we can change our minds when given new evidence, like Dewey said, right? By the way, that quote from FM was a classic example of something 21st century Alexander teachers write on their websites, that debauched kinesthesia is something about bodies and movement. But that's not how FM was using the term. And we tend to use the words proprioception and kinesthesia interchangeably, even though they mean two different things. Perhaps we would use the words differently if we studied the books and found that FM never uses the word proprioception. And that about half the time he uses kinesthesia to mean things other than awareness of movement. I just gave you an example. Debauched kinesthesia puts us out of touch with our reasoning. Another example is that he said that the First World War was a result of a whole nation having a debauched kinesthesia. So accurate kinesthesia is a means whereby for moving more comfortably, but also for staying in touch with our reasoning and keeping us from what FM called our savage instincts and from barbarism. Another example, sensory appreciation. Look online and it would be easy to think that it only applies to proprioception and kinesthesia. But if you read the books, you'll find that FM wrote that sensory appreciation includes all sensory experiences which are conveyed through the channels of sight, hearing, touch, feeling, equilibrium, movement. And he described someone as his overindulgence in certain foods and drinks, which are particularly gratifying to his none too reliable sensory appreciation, in this case particularly the sense of taste. Does your teaching make the appreciation of all our senses more accurate? Why, when we have so many senses, do so many of us apply the idea of improving our appreciation of them only to equilibrium and movement? As I keep saying, I have controversial things to say, like just because your teacher said something about the work, it might not be true or accurate, no matter how eminent they are or were. But I'm going to soften them by making them into Nobes' laws of Alexander. The controversial ideas are intended to make you think. Nobes' laws are intended to be light-hearted and make you smile. So, Nobes' first law of Alexander. If you don't understand FM's books, you're probably not teaching what's in the books, and therefore you're not teaching what FM was. Now, if you saw the video I made for the 2020 ATI conference, you may be wondering why I changed Nobes' first law. That's been demoted, and I'll talk about it in another video. So Nobes' new first law is, again, if you don't understand FM's books, you're probably not teaching what's in the books, and therefore you're not teaching what FM was. Dewey said that FM's books are written in the simplest English, but that it is difficult to grasp the full force of what FM was teaching without having actual demonstration of the principle in operation. Is it possible, I wonder, that some of us who find the books difficult, despite them being written in the simplest English, as Dewey said, and as I said, being simple but not easy, have not had actual demonstration of the principle involved? It's possible they've had demonstration of something else, something similar, but not what's in the books. Dewey also said in that same paragraph that the full meaning of the work dawns upon one slowly and with new meanings continually opening up. Do new meanings keep opening up for those of us who teach movement without muscular strain? FM was not teaching movement without muscular strain, nor release of muscle tension, nor fascial stretch, nor poise, nor posture. What he was teaching does result in all those things, but in my experience over 30 odd years of first learning it and then teaching it and then training teachers, those are side benefits. If the Alexander work were a martial art, improved posture and moving in a more comfortable way would be yellow belt benefits. In my next video, I'm going to tell you the 3 things that I think FM was teaching, and in subsequent ones I'll explain, for instance, what FM meant by use and functioning. I've just read online that good use is using and moving the body lightly. That's not what FM would have said. I'm going to explain what he meant by inhibition. Spoiler alert, it's not about bodies or keeping your neck free. I'm going to explain why I think, having studied the books, that we've become a bit obsessed with freeing necks. A free neck is a means whereby, not an end. I'm going to explain why you need very little knowledge of anatomy to teach what FM was teaching, and why FM and Dewey thought that if enough people learnt the technique it would put an end to wars. It would. Why the classic procedures may not be the best way to get across the principles of the technique. How chair work may be a means whereby for learning to move differently, but for FM it was a means whereby for changing how you do things, and that new way of doing things would lead to happiness. One of the biggest benefits I've got from the work. And how the work can teach people to resist, conquer and govern the circumstances of their lives. Another of the enormous benefits I've got from it. So, a quick reminder of Nobes' first law. If you don't understand FM's books, you're probably not teaching what's in them, and therefore probably not teaching what FM was. See you soon.